10 places science can't explain. The scientific community has made great strides in discovering a lot about the planet we call home, yet there's still so much we don't know. In this video, we'll tell you about 10 of the most mysterious and bewildering places on Earth that even scientists can't explain. And if you love eye-opening videos that let you see the world from a new perspective, subscribe to our channel. Here on the bright side, you'll find tons of answers to life's biggest mysteries. Just be sure to turn on post notifications, otherwise you might miss something really thrilling. Right, 10. Skeleton Lake. Hidden among nature's and snow-covered mountains in the breathtaking Himalayas, you can find the picturesque Rupkund Lake. With a depth of just 6.5 feet, this lake is situated 16,000 feet above sea level. Sounds like a must-see place, right? Your opinion might change once you find out about the haunting secret in the lake's shallow waters. Every year, when the snow and frozen water melt, it reveals 300 skeletons dumped in the lake. Scientists have put forward numerous theories concerning these remains that date back to 850 CE. The probable causes of death range from starvation and unknown diseases to a violent hailstorm that left the travelers no chances of surviving, huge chunks of ice falling from the sky. Whatever brought on these deaths, scientists are still utterly perplexed. The Hessdalen lights, are this really puzzling phenomenon you can actually observe in Norway's Hessdalen Valley. Some highly unusual lights are often seen in the sky there. These lights mostly appear at night and are typically white, but every now and then they do turn yellowish or reddish, and honestly nobody really knows what makes them change color. What's even more puzzling is that these lights can move. Like, one moment, they seem to be just motionlessly hanging in midair, and the next, they're traveling somewhere at what feels like lightning speed. They show up completely at random in different places, and you just can't predict how long they'll stick around. Despite all the research that's been done since 1983, scientists are still unable to explain this phenomenon, or well, such weird light behavior. Lake Onjikuni, it's situated in Nunavut, Canada, along with the Kazan River. With abundant trout and pike in the lake waters, this place is just ideal for fishing. Seems like the perfect picture of a northern paradise, doesn't it? Well, go ahead and check it out as long as you don't mind disappearing one day. That's what happened to a small colony of 30 men, women, and children in 1930. Canadian fur trapper Joe LaBelle came to a village located on the shore of the lake to find it completely deserted. The usually boisterous huskies were eerily quiet. There was no smoke over the chimneys in some homes. LaBelle even found unfinished meals still lying on the dining table. There were no signs of a struggle, invasion, or mass exit since pretty much all of the homes were well stocked with food and weapons. It looked as if people simply vanished into thin air. This mystery has never been solved. The Devil's Sea. Probably everybody has found themselves marveling at the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, but not many people know that there's another, not so famous, but just as deadly triangle. If you draw 3 lines connecting Osaka, Japan, Manila in the Philippines, and Guam, that would roughly be the area of the Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon's Triangle. Still, some folks call it the Pacific Bermuda Triangle. Since ships and planes tend to disappear there with the same regularity as its North Atlantic counterpart, the Devil's Sea is actually kind of situated exactly opposite to the Bermuda Triangle. I wonder if there's a connection. Anyway, people also report seeing ghost ships in the open sea, and while scientists provide logical reasons for the vanishing vessels and aircraft, most people still believe in the paranormal nature of the Dragon Triangle. So, which side are you on? So 6, the Lake Michigan Triangle. There's one more triangle even fewer people are aware of. You won't find it in any sea or ocean, but on a lake, more specifically, on Lake Michigan. The Lake Michigan Triangle has been gaining its notorious reputation since 1891. That's the year when the Thomas Hume schooner started its way across the lake. It didn't make it to its final destination, since the ship disappeared along with its crew of 7 sailors. No trace of the ship has ever been found. But that's not all. In 1921, the Rosabelle was discovered after its continuous disappearance. it was overturned with 11 casualties trapped inside. It looked as if the ship had been in a collision, but there was no other wrecked or damaged vessel. Captain George R. Donner simply vanished from his cabin in 1937 while guiding his schooner through the winter waters of the lake. He retired to his cabin to rest, but when a crew member came to inform him that the port was near, the cabin was locked from the inside and the captain was nowhere to be found. In 1950, the 58 people on board Northwest Airlines Flight 2501 were never seen again after the plane crashed into Lake Michigan. The cause of the catastrophe still remains a mystery, and the plane wreckage has never been located. 5. Magnetic Hill. Among all the amazing sights Ladakh in northern India has to offer, one spot attracts the biggest number of people. On a road approximately 20 miles away from the town of Leh, you'll find what's known as the Magnetic Hill of Ladakh. The most bewildering thing about this road is that it definitely goes uphill, but if you turn off the engine of your car and leave it in neutral, your vehicle will start climbing ahead, possibly at a speed of 12 miles per hour. It's believed that this phenomenon is due to a magnetic force powerful enough to pull cars uphill. This place's notoriety is so widespread that even airplanes flying over the spot gain altitude to prevent any magnetic interference. So, for the Devil's Kettle is a mystifying waterfall in Minnesota's Judge C.R. Magny State Park. The rural river flows through the park and drops from a height of 800 feet, creating numerous waterfalls. One is of particular interest. About a mile before the river empties into Lake Superior, a rocky outcrop splits into two. And while the eastern flow drops 50 feet down and keeps flowing into the lake, the western part travels 10 feet down into a giant hole and just vanishes. This hole has come to be known as the Devil's Kettle. In fact, no one knows where the water disappears to. There might be an exit somewhere beneath Lake Superior, but honestly, this theory doesn't quite hold up against criticism. Researchers have dropped countless ping-pong balls, bright dyes, and other trackable objects into the hole, yet none of them have ever been rediscovered. Now let's talk about the Petoskey crater located in Siberia. The Petoskey crater is described as a mound with a perfectly circular shape. It's as big as a 25-story building and sits right in the middle of a wooded area, with its top chopped off, presenting quite a sight. In fact, the form of the crater is pretty bizarre. At 270 feet tall and 500 feet wide, the cone has a rounded inner dome that's itself about 40 feet high. Upon first glance, this formation looks kinda like a volcano, but once you examine it more closely, you realize it's not at all what it seems. For one, the dome in the center of the cone is extremely unusual for a volcano. Plus, there haven't been any volcanoes in this region for millions of years, and this thing is estimated to be just 250 years old. Its weird shape is like nothing scientists have ever seen. This, along with the fact that any theory fails to explain the origin of the formation, just adds to the mystery around it. And that's not even the most mystifying part. After researchers analyzed the growth rings of the trees near the crater, they found out that the trees experienced a strangely accelerated growth spurt that lasted for about 40 years. After that, they went back to growing normally. This same phenomenon has been witnessed only in one other situation, after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. And the level of radiation near the crater is much higher than in nearby areas. Scientists cannot explain any of this. What's particularly eerie is that nothing grows on it, and that might be due to the fact that the crater has a lovely habit of constantly shifting. It rises and falls under the influence of some inexplicable force. As for what the locals think, they believe that evil dwells in this place. So, when it comes to the boiling river, there was this old Amazonian legend that spoke of a river so hot it could actually kill. And honestly, that's exactly what most people thought. It was just a legend, nothing more. All the experts, they were totally convinced that something like that just wasn't physically possible. Sure, really hot rivers do exist, but, well, only in places where there's volcanic activity. And as for the area mentioned in the legend, there aren't any volcanoes there at all. Well, geothermal scientist Andrei Russo kept an open mind and decided to investigate the matter for himself back in 2011. He actually found the legendary river, and to his surprise, it really was steaming hot at a temperature of 187 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not exactly boiling, but it's pretty close. But what shocked the researcher the most was the size of the river. One would assume that the almost boiling water was the result of the activity of an underwater hot spring. But thermal pools are always small, while this river is a whopping 82 feet wide and 20 feet deep. On top of that, it carries its extremely hot waters over a distance of nearly 4 miles. This is the only river of its kind on our planet, and nobody has the slightest idea how it appeared. 1. The dancing forest in Russia makes our list once again with yet another mystery. Located on the thin Curonian spit that divides the Baltic Sea from the Curonian Lagoon is one of the strangest places on Earth. Locals call it the dancing forest, and it's no wonder. The pine trees in this forest have shockingly unusual shapes. They twist in spirals and circles along the ground. Some travelers state that this site looks astoundingly like the area near Chernobyl, where pines that started growing just after the nuclear disaster also got tied in weird loops and knots. However, there seem to be no problems with radiation in the area surrounding the dancing forest. Of course, there are plenty of theories. One psychic claimed that huge amounts of positive and negative energies clashed on the spot where the forest grew. But less clairvoyant individuals believe that the reason is solely geological. The area's sandy soil is just too unstable to hold straight trees. The most popular idea is that strong winds blowing from the water influence the shape of the trees. In any case, no final conclusion has been drawn. If you've learned about at least one new mysterious place, then give this video a like. Also, tell us in the comments which place you would dare to visit and why. See you next time on the secret organization of